You are, because back in the 1890s to the 1930s, Dr. Young was the gentleman's name.
Oh, so you did your research?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did. Jeez. Well, I follow this one person on TikTok, and she talks about all the crazy, like, sex toys for today, what they actually used to be, like, what they used to be. Like, ironically enough, brooms, you know, the witch's broom? You know, the symbol of the witch riding the broom. Mm. Did you know back in like England in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, they banned the use of sex toys. So women would polish the broom handle and coat it and treat it and use that, which is why it became...
Why are you taking so long in that bath?
You know, the woman would be riding the broom, and that's where the witch, like the Halloween.
It's sin. It's sinners.
It's just more portrayal.
The witches.
Do we have audio?
Yeah, we have audio.
Okay, good. Just making sure. So
I checked.
So
did my pre-check.
Oh, we're not on air though.
Oh, we're not on air.
Damn it.
Oh, we'll have to do the whole thing already. Anyway, go ahead.
So yeah. So she had another video today about back in the late 1800s. Butt plugs were sold as for medical things. They were the cure to get rid of headaches. And then there's a guy who actually goes, actually, they were for more than just that. Comes to find out, back in the day, they were used for like all kinds of medicinal purposes, and they were called rectal dilators. Now, the lubricant you would use, I forgot what the chemicals he said were, but one of them was a hallucinogenic.
And why wouldn't it be?
And they actually had times on them. You couldn't use them for very long. Like you had to put a lube on and only use them for a certain amount of period of time, because anything past that, you know, there might have been consequences. So, and it gets better. It gets even worse. I mean, not okay, better.
Whatever. Tomato.
Back in the 1890s to the 1930s, before New York, good old New York, got them banned from medicinal uses, there was actually instructions on how to use them for children 5 and up.
So, what I'm learning is
the butt plug will make your headache go away.
COVID. It's a cure for COVID. Butt plugs.
Butt stuff.
And it all goes full circle.
Got it. Podcast is over. Bye.
All right. What I'm learning then is sex toys are actually recommissioned
medical devices.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting. You learn things when you don't really expect to learn. I didn't have any anticipation I was going to learn that today. Well, there you go.
Cheers.
Cheers to butt plugs and stuff.
Here's the butt stuff. Cheers. Beers to butt stuff. Whatever. Yeah. Usually the beers lead to butt stuff.
To the cure to COVID.
No, that's Pepto. A stupid dad joke.
Ah, jeez.
Oh, man. I already had one soda today, too.
Oh, you're out of control now.
I know. 2 in a day. Holy shit, bud.
So, with that interesting either intro or outro or whatever we're going to use it for.
Use it however you want. I'm sure there's a medicinal way to use it, too.
Might be a Jeopardy question someday. You never know.
Although developed and sold between 1890 and 1930, these rectal dilators were used to cure a whole slew of things. What are they referred to as today? What is a butt plug? Would you mind showing me? You got it, Alex.
Oh, he's gone.
Rest in peace. Betty White's gone.
Betty White. Now I'm sad. I didn't really watch Jeopardy, so whatever.
Yeah, neither did I.
So this week was busy.
Yeah.
This week was busy. This last couple days have been really busy. In news, anyway. We had Kamala Harris's speech on January 6th. What?
Don't let me forget ASU. Kyle Rittenhouse, the girls who made that viral video.
I did see that.
Yeah.
I know where you're going
with that. We'll go with that later. Go ahead.
All right.
Kamala, whatever you want to call her.
No, I'm just giving a rundown, so we'll actually start with that so it's fresh in our minds. But yeah, the Tim Pool swatting, the Kamala Harris speech on January 6th. I heard about
that.
CDC New Guidelines right after the last show. We were just talking about their new guidelines, and then they're updated again. Well, as of right now recording this will be tomorrow. It'll be live. But when this goes up, it'll be today. Which is interesting, really interesting, those guidelines.
I scanned through quick. I didn't really read in depth. You're going to have to...
It'll be one of the first things we go on.
Okay, cool.
So House senators passed bills that I learned, which is really make your head spin. And amongst a whole bunch of other things. A lot of COVID stuff, of course, because that's what we're in. But
of course.
First off, let's go with what you were talking about, which I did see.
Yeah, so some time back, viewers at home, there was a viral video that just blew up on the
internet. Which we covered. I think it was in the CRT.
Yes, we talked about the two white adolescent dudes that were sitting in the college.
The multicultural room.
The multicultural room, yep. These two girls that are recording just start attacking them verbally, not physically, verbally.
Yeah.
And in essence, it started out sort of like, this is offensive. This is offensive.
He had the police sticker. The
Black Lives Matter on his laptop.
The blue lives or police lives matter.
Blue Lives Matter on his laptop. And here's another thing that I learned from watching the video and reading into the...
Which I did actually finally see that video from what you're talking about.
Yeah. Here's a little fun fact. One of the things that the two girls listed off that were offensive, the Blue Lives Matter and the I did not vote for Joe Biden. There was one more thing that they pointed out that was offensive. Mm-hmm. The kid who had the laptop with the Blue Lives Matter sticker on it was wearing a Bass Pro Shop hat. That was one of the issues.
Really?
That was offensive.
Why? Of course it wasn't. Of course it wasn't explained.
Nope.
I'm sure those damn racist bass fishes.
They made a big follow-up video about it because apparently ASU, Arizona State University, where Kyle Rittenhouse is an online student. Yeah. They led this it was like movement to get him banned, even from online courses. Well, the board of directors, whatever, superintendents or whatever they are for a college, the board voted that they were the ones in the wrong in being disruptive. And
I did see that.
Yep, they squashed everything they were trying to do. So they made this big long follow up video about the racially biased decision made by ASU, the white board of ASU or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm like,
it just doesn't stop.
The guy
it just doesn't stop.
Yeah, it won't. It won't.
Speaking of online, you mentioned that. You see, this is kind of a side note, but there are colleges or universities now that are requesting that even if you do come 100% online digital courses, you still have to be vaccinated. Syracuse, right down the road from us, is one of them.
Orangeman?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. I learned that.
What?
I learned that. I'm like, the fuck? I don't know the logic there. But when I get to the new CDC things and the DOH, New York State Department of Health anyway, specifically, knowing that and then listening to the new guidelines, you're going to go, okay, what fucking card are we playing here? So I'll get to that. Let me go, I'll just run down this in order because I have them all bunched together.
Well, really quick.
All right.
So I just came back from the city, and I'm talking NYC, okay? NYC area. I won't specify where I was.
You're in the boroughs somewhere?
Somewhere amongst the boroughs, New York City, Long Island, Staten Island, etc. I was in the thick of it. Now, here's the best part. The area I was in, surprisingly, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because of everything we're probably going to talk about today. The city is getting this hardcore label, and there's videos out there, restaurants, grocery stores, anything, where people are being asked to leave because they don't, one or multiple people within a party of whatever that's attending, wherever it is, isn't vaccinated. Mm-hmm. So there's one video of a family going into a restaurant and being removed.
Well, yeah, wasn't it like Applebee's or Olive Garden?
Yeah, because there was one of the children that were old enough to get the vaccine wasn't vaccinated.
Right.
But here's my thing. Okay, so if the vaccine is for 5 and up, my 4-year-old, let's say I have a 4-year-old child, I walk into that restaurant, that child's exempt, so it's okay that they don't have the vaccine. Mm-hmm. But 4-year-olds can still get COVID.
So they're 4 years old and say 10 months. They go in. But in that 60 days, that's when they become dangerous. I actually haven't seen a lot of things, specifically in New York City.
Yeah.
You get a lot of hearsay, but I've seen most of the stuff has been either out west in LA, Chicago, or moreover in Canada.
But, so here's the thing. The point I was going to make was, surprisingly enough, the area we went to, I mean, the people we went to visit, the one person that took me out to get a cigar, we went into a beer outlet store and it had a huge cigar room. And I mean, right on the window, mask required.
Right.
I walked in wearing a mask. Half the customers in that store not wearing a mask. The cashier,
because a lot of places just
not wearing a mask, and it's like, huh? So the gentleman I was with goes, yeah, this area, et cetera, et cetera. It's a lot more laid back. Yeah, the mandates are there, but the enforcement, like and he said something that, like, that's right. That's what our county sheriff had expressed during his interview, his press conference, that, look, the store may say wear a mask. And if you walk in not wearing a mask and they don't say anything to you, whatever. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be there we're not going to enforce the wearing a mask. But as per private ownership of a business, if they do say, look, you can't be here without a mask, and you refuse, they're not coming to enforce or arrest due to you not wearing a mask. They're coming to resolve the issue of now what is considered trespassing.
Right.
Which, that's cool.
Yeah, and 100% right from the get-go, there's really no argument there. Like, if a business wants to enforce that, you can't really say anything.
Yeah. But you want to talk about crazy right? Or left. It's crazy right.
I don't know. What are we talking about? Mega hats or?
No, others.
I'm going to give you.
I'm
going to give you a sheet.
A cheat sheet. Yeah. So I never forget.
I'm the one that reads most of this shit, and then when I find it, I send it to him. So I'm the one that probably has the base knowledge of everything, and then I just bounce it off him and get his perspective as a truck driver. That's basically how this goes. The left is Biden, Democrat. Well, actually, if you go in
so far left,
we'll do it like this. There's the center. We'll do it for you. And then there is the left. We go classic liberals. Then we'll go Democrats. This is generic. And then we'll go extreme leftists. They're crazy ones. Oh, okay. And then the other way, we'll go conservatives, Republicans, and then extreme right. Yeah.
Okay,
so that extreme right would be like your race, like KKK and MAGA hat and all that crazy.
So I won't go.
And the other ones would be like your Lori Lightfoot, Chicago.
Yeah. Okay.
Woke culture. The woke culture is extreme.
Cancel society. Yeah. Cancel culture. Woke
there you
society.
Go. So that's a 30-second.
Okay. So I won't give like specifics as to who, but I did just learn of a situation of people that usually every year during a holiday they have like a gathering. Mm-hmm. Well, these two people that I know, one, not unfortunately, it's unfortunate that their job required them to become vaccinated because it wasn't this person's choice. Mm-hmm. This person was choosing not to be vaccinated, but due to work, this person had to be vaccinated. So this person's vaccinated. Their counterpart, however, no desire to get the vaccine. Work does not require this person to get the vaccine. So this person's like, I'm just going to go without the vaccine. These two people, part of a group that would gather, like we did Friendsgiving, mm-hmm. stuff like that. They have a similar, but on a different specific holiday, where they do a gathering. Well, during the collaboration of, hey, these two people are going to attend, the main hostess of the gathering was like, well, you are both vaccinated, correct? And the main person said, well, I am.
Was this a business thing or was this like a friends thing?
Friends thing.
Wow, that's
friends
weird.
And family sort of.
That's weird then. All right, go ahead.
But this is what I mean, how extreme it's getting. Like, so the hostess was like, hey, are you both vaccinated? The main person was like, well, my work required me to be vaccinated, so I am. This other person, my counterparts, worked and they're, said, no, you don't have to be vaccinated. Plus this person chose not to be vaccinated. Oh, well, the hostess goes, I'm going to have to get the group decision to decide.
Discuss in the committee.
To decide whether, what to do.
8 votes yay, 4 votes nay.
It was decided that it was better that these two particular people not attend, mm-hmm. even though it's friends and family. And I mean, this is supposed to be a family that is thick as thieves. So it's like a tight family.
Mm-hmm.
And the general consensus was it's best if you don't attend. So it's like...
That is, and I think I've made mention of it before on one of our shows, just the split. If it's none of this, it's just in conversation with somebody, probably multiple people, how the weird mass psychosis that's derived from all this is actually making it so friends stop being friends with other people and family members stop cut ties with other families. Yep. It's incredible. Like, it's sad, but it's incredible. It's like, wow.
It just... It caught me off guard. I was like, this person's expressing their concern and their disappointment in the situation. And
it's one thing to be like, okay, I think you should get it, but it's your choice. It's another thing to be like, yeah, you shouldn't come.
Well, that's just it. And like the way it was explained to me, I mean, I didn't ask specifics because it was it seemed like not a touchy subject, but like a subject that was...
it'll turn south quick.
No. To me, the vibe I picked up was the issue was already resolved, and they just didn't want to worry about it anymore.
Right.
So I respect that. So I didn't ask. But the vibe I got during the discussion was, well, what if the one person who was vaccinated attended this gathering by themselves?
Mm-hmm.
And if I understand correctly, the hostess said, well, you still associate with somebody who is not vaccinated. So it's still better if you don't.
Guilty by association. Isn't that fun?
Sins of the father.
Seriously, that's whatever. But.
It's very discouraging because to see it so, hear about it in the news, it's like, my circle, a little more free thinking, a little more,
accepting,
hey, your choice is your choice. Just don't infringe upon mine.
Right.
Excuse me. Second soda for the day, so it's like, oh, I'm all gassy. But then so like I said, seeing it outside and then it's inside the circle now. Mm-hmm. It's like, wow, man. Wow.
Yeah. It's a special time.
It is
like I said, it's a weird thing, like that weird cut ties thing over this simple thing as a vaccine.
Yeah.
Which the more shit that comes out, the longer you just sit and wait, it's like the more stuff comes out. Like, man, these arguments are very shaky, but whatever. Anyway, so
moving on.
First thing I'll start with, even though it wasn't really the first thing I start with, is Kamala Harris compares January 6th to Pearl Harbor and 9/11. We'll give your opinion first before I just run off quick numbers.
So, okay, what happened specifically?
January 6th?
Yes.
Depends who you talk to. That's the funny thing.
What's your opinion? That's what I want to hear.
Everything I've seen is this is just strictly going on what I've seen. This isn't a right-wing, left-wing thing.
Okay.
There was a march to Capitol Hill. Trump was there. Alex Jones was there. There's a whole bunch of... I don't know if Tim Pool was at that one, but there's a whole bunch of figures there.
Yeah, I did see...
They said they were marching to stop Mike Pence from... what's the word I'm looking for? Certifying the election. The election, the presidential election last year. So they could go forth and, I guess, in Trump's eyes, prove that it was stolen. But as a general basis, just like, was this or was this not? Was there a massive amount of election fraud? Because I've heard a lot of things. A lot of people say there is no election fraud, which is false. There's election fraud on every macro and micro level.
So there's been election fraud
all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, there's small numbers that might or probably aren't significant enough to really swing an election, but there's always election fraud.
Like Bush and Gore.
But that's a big one, and that's a big one that's still like, But I mean, anyway, so they marched to Capitol Hill, and in the meantime, there's a small group compared to everyone that was there that either decided or were let in to storm the Capitol building. Now, I've seen video where police were stopping them, and I've seen video where police were waving them in.
Yeah.
What narrative you take, it depends on what videos you choose to show and what videos you choose to hide. I don't know. So I still honestly have no idea. It's like, okay, was this a setup to let people in for the narrative, or was this like people that were, I guess the direction I would swing would be, they went down there in this march, and these people gingerly stormed the Capitol, and some police officers were probably against Biden and like, fucking go at it. And they let him in, and other ones were not. That's what I think. I don't think this was a mass thing like, oh, we're going to set them up, or, you know, people are, oh, they're definitely trying to stop them, because there's clear video evidence of both.
Okay, so now here's my opinion, because I like I said, I wanted to hear your take on it. And maybe this is because of the paternal instinct that I've developed. To me, it almost, and when I describe this, you're going to probably laugh at me, because it's a very like broad imagining. It almost seemed like when you tell your kid no to do something, like, no, don't touch those Legos. And then you watch, and they get closer, and they get closer.
As they're looking at you.
Not even looking at you. Like, they're around the corner, and they can't see that you see them in the mirror, and it's like, you're watching, and they start to, like, they move the Legos, and what are you doing? I'm just moving them out of my way. And then all of a sudden, they're in the thick of it. Well, I wasn't playing with the Legos. I just had to move them away so I could play with these. So that required them to play with the Legos to get them out of their way. That's what I thought of it. I'm like, all right, there's no way. Like, come on. With everything that they've been able to monitor, govern, etc., there's no way they didn't know this was going to happen. There's clear evidence of that this was a planned thing. Obviously. But
the march?
Yes. But upon getting there, they're like, well, let's see if they touch the stove and burn themselves and learn their lesson. And that's where people got.
So you think they were let in to make an example of, like, don't. But they didn't even really do anything. I mean, either side didn't.
But how many times have you personally seen a child, like, don't do that, you're going to get hurt. Don't do that, you're going to get hurt. They do that, and they get hurt. Or something stupid, something silly happens, and now they're embarrassed, and their feelings are hurt. Mm-hmm. Like, we told you not to do this, but you did, and now bad things are happening from it.
It would be interesting to see if there. I don't know if there were any plans found prior to January 6th about them storming the Capitol. Like, I really think that was just kind of a on-the-spot decision.
Well, here's that big, dude. You saw how many people were there. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a small number. It wasn't a big number
compared to it wasn't a small number isolated. No, there was a lot of people, but compared to the whole thing, it was a small fraction of that. Like,
yeah, well, like the Capitol Hill storm.
I mean, there were people that there's a video going on YouTube. I saw it. What's that one guy who was going up to the police officer saying, "What the hell are you doing?" It's like, call reinforcements, stop these guys.
Yeah,
and the police are just standing there, like the riot squad. They had helmets and shit on. They're just standing there, not doing anything. Like. Stop them.
So the amount of people, I'm sorry, there had to have been text messages, forums,
of course there are,
blogs where people are like, hey, we're going to do this on this date. You mean to tell me Big Brother wasn't watching it on that shit? Come on.
But if there was, I know when you, if the government wants, they can go to AT&T or Verizon or whoever and say, give me your records for these dates from these numbers, and they'll do it. Like, I don't know. Maybe they did do that. I honestly haven't, ever since January 6th and the whole fiasco like happened, I haven't been paying much attention to it because you just hear so much crap from both sides. Like, who the hell? I don't know. Yeah. But then fast forwarding all the way to this year, I actually didn't think twice about January 6th till about 2 or 3 days prior. And then suddenly it just started blowing up in the news. Mm-hmm. And then, but even, I mean, blowing up, not really compared to some other things.
Yeah. It made some headway in the articles, but in the headlines.
And I still didn't think much of it until I was at work and heard Kamala Harris's speech. I was like, what? And I had to read numbers. She said, she goes, the dates she gave off was for Pearl Harbor and for 9/11.
April something 1942? No.
What was 1942? It was 4/5/42.
Yeah. April 5th. Okay, April 5th, 1942. I'm sorry. It was April of 1942. I mixed up the date.
And then 9/11.
Surprisingly enough, for all of you fun people at home that like to, think naughty things of me, I actually am kind of a history person. I do have some of those numbers in my head.
Sometimes they're scrambled, but
oh fuck yeah,
who isn't?
I also put a lot of drugs up in there.
Yeah, and then 9/11, 2001, and then she says January 6, 2021. I knew exactly what she was doing, so I did a quick search. I'm like, let's see the death totals for all these events. And I go, all right, so we got Pearl Harbor, 2,406.
Hold on, before you go any further.
Okay.
Pearl Harbor. Massive smack in the face of America to...
Which is, that whole story is interesting in and of itself, too.
It was basically, we have to wake you guys up.
It was a sneak attack that wasn't supposed to be a sneak attack.
Nope. It was literally a surprise slap in the face.
Yeah. And that
it was a sucker punch.
Yeah, that brought us into World War II.
Exactly. So, but it was... And this is what made me laugh when I read what you said about how she compared it, and I'm like, I haven't seen her speech yet. I haven't listened to her speech yet. But to without knowing anything she said, to sit there and be like, huh, so people marched on Capitol Hill because they were upset over an election is comparable to an entire country literally feeling the need to bring another country to its knees.
Mm-hmm. And bring us into a world war.
I could see where it's a similar thought process.
9/11 was 2,996.
2000.
Which brought us into a 20-year war.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. Because it's weird. Like, I understand where, by definition, we've been at war.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that by definition, but I don't know. Like, it just sometimes that term, like, and I'm not trying to disrespect any military. Please do not think I am. But it's like it almost seemed like it wasn't more of a war as much as it was. We were like
a prolonged policing.
Yeah. Because obviously we had turned a blind eye to enough bad shit going on overseas that we finally had to step in and say, all right, we became the guidance counselor.
Pretty much.
We had to go over there and tell them, stop doing this.
And you know what's funny? We were basically, I think it was Trump who said it. We were a dam. Like, I don't know if it was a reference to that, to Afghanistan, but basically the analogy I have is like if you're in a bathtub and you're in front of the drain, you just have your arms down like this, holding the water back. As soon as you leave, that water's rushing right in.
Yep.
And that's basically what happened. As soon as we left, like the day we left,
they took over the...
they just came right in and took it right back over. So all the 20 years we were there just negated within hours.
Yep.
Like, wow. But...
and we armed them.
So I had to look up the total number of deaths for Capitol Hill for January 6th.
I think it was...
by factchecker.org. So this is the big one that everyone on the left constantly gravitates toward. The fact checkers say this.
Now, if I'm correct, it was like 6 or 7 people?
Depends. On factchecker.org, I saw one, which is a big one. It's one that like jumped in. I think that's the one that was shot actually going into the building.
The woman.
There was 5 I saw for the day.
Okay.
Factchecker.org says almost 10. I don't understand how total number of deaths is almost 10. But that's from factchecker.org.
Well, actually, I could tell you what almost death means. It's when a person truly dies inside and just keeps on going about their life. So Kamala Harris is
almost 10 people were afraid. They were sad. So that's what that was. That was feelings hurt. There were almost 10 people that were sad. All jokes aside, even we'll go out on a limb and say, okay, like Biden administration is all right. This is a terrorist attack on the Capitol. They had this plan and everything. How do you even with that said, how do you put it anywhere near the same level, even in the same building as 9/11 and Pearl Harbor?
And here's the thing, like,
it's not even in the same ballpark or game.
This is where I'm like at with this situation. 9/11, Pearl Harbor were mass. It wasn't we were trying to like smack the hand of America. No, they were trying to kill as many people. It wasn't supposed to be we just want to scare America. No, they wanted to cause as much death and destruction as possible. That's what it was. And this march on Capitol Hill was only to make people aware. The intent of the march on Capitol Hill was to make people aware of the injustice that people felt took place in the election. There was no intent to kill the new administration or cripple or overthrow the American government.
No, not as a majority.
You want to sit there. I'm going to go on record to say this. You want to sit there and compare the March on Capitol Hill to anything? Compare that to like the riots and stuff that
everybody's been
doing,
and
the movements. And I haven't even heard anybody else do that. And here I am along the same thought process.
But
compare it to them when it's not supposed to, because of course when the left has a progressive movement, it's to bring awareness to racial injustice or political what's the word I'm thinking of?
I don't know.
Corruption, political corruption. Bring aware, all this politically corrupt stuff that's going on right under our noses. But no, she wants to compare it to
in the legal system, the police state, not police state, but like,
the judicial system. Compare it to the movements that took place for that. But the left won't do that.
And you know what was brought up, and I think it's a very good point that either side really can't argue, is the reason why there was no comparison by this administration or anyone on the left, Democrats, whatever, is because, well, for Democrats and whatnot, it's because they fly a flag, and anyone who votes that way is just not going to. That's the way it is. Same with the right; they do the same thing.
Yeah.
But why the administration didn't make that comparison is because with the Seattle riots, or just riots across the nation, that was out there. But as soon as that is brought right to their backyard, well, now we got a problem. Do you see AOC's thing? AOC, when she, during the Capitol riots, she stated she was in the building and she heard them come in and she's like, I was hiding in the bathroom or in her office.
Oh, and I heard found out she wasn't there at all.
Where? Yeah, and she's like, yes. Where is she? And turns out by the timing she gave them and what actually happened, like she wasn't there at all.
I heard about that because like, of course, that got swept under the rug very fast.
Of course it did.
Yeah, I did. Well,
that didn't happen.
I did remember hearing about that, and I'm like, that's great. That's like those two girls from ASU. Like, I was there when Malcolm X was shot.
Was that really said?
No.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
But that's that.
All right, comparison. I got
you. Comparison. That's like them saying, "I was there and I saw the racial injustice of Malcolm X's murder."
I remember standing in the crowd when
Sweetie,
Dr.
your
King
mom wasn't even a fucking sperm cell in your dad's balls when that happened.
Yeah. So
what?
If another thing, speaking of AOC, was this has been talked about a lot in the last week. Is she constantly cuts down Ron DeSantis in Florida for their no mandates on anything.
Oh, yeah.
And then she's photographed down in Florida with no mask on, partying it up on a vacation. And they're like, listen, you verbally burned down Florida and DeSantis. Well, he's not mandating. He's going to kill everyone down there. And then you vacation in his state.
Speaking of going for vacations and partying it up, maybe you've heard this. Have you heard the conspiracy theory about Biden right now about not being the actual president because the president?
I've heard.
One of the terms is him having to be in the White House for a certain amount of time, but over this last year of his,
he's been like a bunker or something.
No, like he's on record going home for not just 1 day, but like 2 day, 3 day stays, 92 times. He has spent, and if you figure it out, He's going home.
So it's like 270 some days he's been home. If that's true.
There's a conspiracy theory going around about how it's like just like him and his wife,
Obama or Harris.
They've never actually flown because the president's supposed to have like a certain people on Air Force One in order for it to be a presidential flight. Well, apparently those numbers aren't there.
There's another thing too is I don't know if this has anything to do with what you're saying, but there's been plenty of video shown where Biden and Harris both getting off of Air Force One.
Yeah, but they're not supposed to ride together.
Not supposed to.
That's one of the things I remember hearing about the Air Force One flight. Yeah,
right.
They've never flown together.
I didn't know that had anything to do with that. I saw a video of that. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, are we not preparing for this? Like Pelosi or something?
I mean, it's in the nicest way possible. I was to say, I mean, it's in the nicest way possible, but well, we don't want Biden or Kamala.
Yeah, go ahead.
And please do not take that as anybody.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. No.
Big brother, don't take that. I'm not going to shoot down Air Force One. I have no means to shoot down Air Force One. In fact, I am as much a patriot as the next because I would be the first to jump in front of a president, any president for that matter, to take the bullet.
Like I said,
because that is our symbol of power. That is our symbol of democracy in the world.
Like I said, when Biden was sworn into office, I'm like, well, I didn't vote for him, but you want to see him do well, because if he doesn't, we're all screwed. So,
but no, like I'm saying, I'm as patriotic as the next person. Like I may not agree with a president, I may not have voted for him, I may not support a lot of his views and beliefs or whatever.
Right.
But like I said, that is our one symbol. That is like our major symbol of democracy in this world. Like that is like the foundation. That he's like the poster boy. Like there's that poor kid for UNICEF. Like, please, sir, give me money. Biden, please, country, please, world. I'm the president. It's like
2.5 hours of pressure. Well,
but yeah,
whatever he said.
As much as the next man, I would catch a bullet for our president. Just to.
Let's go, Brandon. You see that when they called him?
Yeah, on Christmas. And let's go, Brandon. Yeah. I
saw that like the day after
Christmas. Let's go, Brandon.
I was downstairs working out that morning, and I watched the video. I'm like, and he's like, yeah, I agree.
I agree, yeah.
Like, and then you see, who was sitting next to him? I can't remember.
His wife.
Was it his wife?
It's his wife.
And she's like,
yeah.
And he's just completely clueless. He's like still in flower fields picking daisies.
He's still on the set of the Oval Office. Flowers in the background. He's like Guap, whatever his name is from Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Hagrid's big brother. He's like sitting there trying to catch the bird. That's Joe Biden. Let's go, Brandon. Butterfly. Sorry.
Tim Pool got swatted.
Yeah.
He got swatted Thursday, and there's a story behind it, more of a speculation, but pretty decent and merited speculation, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know the details of it. I heard he got swatted. I don't know the details. Like I said, I didn't have much time because this weekend was busy for me.
I heard this one live when I was at work. I listen to a show every night. And they're talking. Luke from the show is talking, and then suddenly, in front of the camera, a police officer walks in front of the camera, and Luke's like looking, and then Tim Pool's like, and the guest they had, I can't remember his name. He's a former police officer, and he goes, "I thought it was one of your friends just coming in to say hi." They ended up getting swatted, so they pulled. Tim goes off. He takes the headphones off, and he walks out of the room and figure out what happened. And the producer of the show, she goes, "No, we just got swatted. I just got a text message from one of their people outside of the room they do their show in, and said they got swatted." A call came across that said 2 people were down, gunshot wounds, dead, and the gunman was threatening to turn the gun on himself. So it was a double homicide, attempted suicide. So they got swatted, which is a federal offense. If you get caught, because you're putting officers' lives in danger, you're putting whoever is getting swatted, their life in danger. It's falsifying a reported crime, and it's wasted resources. I mean, if anything else, it's just a wasted resource. Go ahead.
And the worst part about it is, here we go. I guarantee you, I'm going to go on record to say I guarantee this. Within the next year, you're going to see another attack on video games. video games being bad influence, et cetera, that kind of shit.
Isn't that dead though by now?
Swatting was a big thing
on Twitch
a good few years back now. People would be like Twitch streaming and owning like any video game, competitive playing, and all of a sudden you hear like doors banging and like people get arrested on Twitch camera.
Back then it was just more of a joke.
Yeah, it started out as a joke, but that's what I'm saying. Watch.
But people have gotten hurt and shit from that.
Yes.
And it's just, like I said, it's just a waste of time all around.
Oh yeah, I agree.
But yeah, this was, and here's where it gets interesting. The show before this show, that Wednesday, they had Marjorie Taylor Greene on.
Yep.
MTG. Magic the Gathering for the OGs out there.
Yeah, buddy.
She was on. She was the senator that got banned off Twitter.
Yep.
Like the same day or close to the same day as Dr. Was it Dr. Robert Malone?
Yeah.
When he did. So she got banned off Twitter, and she was on Tim Pool's show that Wednesday night. The next day, the next show, he got swatted. What's interesting is he originally wasn't going to say anything to MTG, but Luke was like, or Ian or Luke on the show was like, you probably should, because if it is a politically driven, a SWAT, if somebody on the left is like watching the show and like doing that, you should let her know. So they did that. They let her know. Turns out the same day she had received a bunch of death threats. So again, this isn't proven, but there's a lot of like red flags up there. So like, because she was on the show and explaining, and this is where I get this thing about how the senators pass bills. She explained that, which I didn't fucking know how they do this shit. There was a whole bunch of stuff she was talking about, and a lot of it would upset the establishment. And then I'm
kind of curious.
Well, the next one, I'll just go right into it.
Yeah, please.
She explains it. She explains how senators vote on bills. So when you think of voting on bills, there's 435 members of the House of Representatives.
Yep.
And they present a bill, they vote on it, and it passes.
Majority rules.
Yeah, majority rules. It passes or is declined. So you'd think, okay, everyone votes, you figure out whatever. Turns out, her first time present during one of these votings, she said she was sitting up in the House, and they brought up a bill. So she had her voting paper ready, right? Ready to cast her ballot. And the speaker goes, they brought up the bill, yay or nay. And Democrats, because it was House majority, said yay. Republicans, nay. But because majority rules, they pass a bill. Here's the kicker. There was only like 10 people there voting. It was like 10 people were yay, or 5 people were yay, 5 people were nay. But because majority rules in the Senate, because Democrats had majority of the Senate, it passed. She goes, she explained it. She goes, what just happened? And one of the older people there is like, it's a vocal vote, or a vote by voice, which that means 2 things. 1, not everybody has to be there. 2, it's not recorded. So your vote, if you vote for something that's controversial, isn't in the record. It just shows as pass or not.
Yeah.
So now, but what you can do is, what she started doing is, before they pass it or not, when they hit the gavel down, like, that's it. If you get down to the microphone and request a record of vote, that means everybody, all 435 members, get called in to the House, and they have to vote in person and on record. You can do that with any bill. Any member can do that, but most of the time they don't. She said she ended up stopping a bill that was going to be passed to allow felons in prison the ability to vote in elections, which if you commit a felony,
you lose that right.
You lose your constitutional rights,
yeah.
Specifically the right to vote. That was going to pass. She brought up a record of vote. And it ended up getting repealed like 315 to whatever, like just a majority all across the board.
Yeah.
But if she hadn't done that, felons would have been able to vote, Which makes you think, what the fuck else? Like,
how many of these bills have we been like, how did that pass?
Yeah.
Well, because here's the crazy thing, too, now that you mention it. I remember in history class.
And that's a Cliff Notes version, but.
Way back in like 8th or 9th grade, we had a simulation of the house. I remember this. And it's funny. I may have actually already known that. And here's why. I remember when you said the voice, it struck the cue with me. I can agree a house member, I don't know if this is true or not, because I can't remember what we were actually doing it for. You can give someone the right to vote for you. Mm-hmm. So now let's say you and I are house members.
I think that's what this is.
And if I say, hey, James, you can vote for me. You can vote yay or nay on something I may be totally against or for. Mm-hmm. But because I gave you my right to vote and I'm not present, you make that decision for me.
But even if, like, let's say we're Republicans and the Democrats have the House. Even if I vote for you, it won't matter because it's majority. So
no, but that's what I'm saying. Like, even if there was like 500, let's say there was 50% Democrat, 50% Republican. Let's say this is in a perfect world.
It won't. It's 435. It's impossible unless one person's half. 2 midgets, maybe.
Let's just say it's 400. Okay, let's say it's right down the middle, and one person does not want to vote.
All right.
It's split down the middle. Now, let's say I'm not there. You could be that deciding factor. Even knowing I could say, I don't like that bill. You could end up saying, I vote for myself, yes. I vote for Charles, no. Or yes. Boom. It's passed because it's got that majority rules vote now.
Right.
And that's fucked up. I'm sorry. When it comes to something like that, maybe deciding on trash ordinance or police salaries or elective terms, length of terms for electees. Yeah, you want to do a vote by voice, be my guest. But when you're like deciding shit for the country, like not just a county, the country, I want a vote on record.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. Like I said, that one example of the felons being able to vote, I'm like, wow, what else has or almost has been passed because nobody wanted to show up to do their job, and they're like, oh yeah, you 15 people, that's fine, that's good enough.
Well, didn't they isn't there something going on about somebody trying to pass the bill to limit all terms of service?
I did vaguely hear something like that.
I think that would be great.
Yeah, I think it should be. There should be no life terms anywhere.
You're in until you die or you step down.
Yeah.
No, there should be length of service.
There's members that have been in there for 60 years, like
they most of their ass life wiped because they can't do it themselves and still get to decide the fate of this country.
That's right.
Like our president. Wait, what? The mic said that, not me.
That's right. Tomorrow, on the 10th of 2022, per New York State Department of Health, if you test positive, you are no longer required to quarantine 10 days. It's 5 days. You quarantine 5 days because they found a lot of studies have found in that 10-day stretch, after the first 5 days, you shedding the virus is very minimum. It drops way off. So it's like not a very good chance you're going to give it to anybody else. Or the virus could be just dead. So you're just shedding dead virus cells. Past positive cases, like myself, don't have to quarantine at all. We will not get a call.
Yeah, what's that going to do about work for some people? Because now the contact tracers is what you're referring to.
I think they're getting rid of contact tracing. Investigators are still going to be there because from ages 0 to, if you are ages 18 to 65, you will no longer, and you're come in contact with somebody who tested positive, you won't get a call at all.
Yeah, you won't get a call.
No longer getting called. If you test positive, like I said, there's the 5-day quarantine, so there's still investigators. But I think what they're finally finding out is a couple things. One, there's a lot of people like myself who get it and barely have anything, have nothing, or they get it like it's a flu or something. They're just knocked on their ass for a few days. It sucks, but then they're back. You might lose your scent or your taste, and then you're back. Florida, both Cali and New York have, so bad, no longer get called. I put down here as a side note, both California and New York have spikes just as well as Florida, and both states, like New York and California, are very blue and very like on board with mandates and this and that, and Florida's very much not, and yet they both have major spikes. So that tells you right there, okay, so you can't just say, well, if you just let it run through everybody, you'll be fine. Or, well, if you get vaccinated, you'll be fine. Because clearly that's not the fucking case. Because a lot of people in New York and a lot of people in California are vaccinated either because they have to or just because they're blue states, even though it's mostly New York City that's blue and majority of upstate is not.
The majority of the rest of New York State is not.
That's what I mean. There's like 5 other literally 5 counties in upstate from outside the boroughs that are blue counties. The rest is either light or dark red. Like across the board. California might be a little different, I think. But again, there's spikes in both states. And they both have vastly different approaches to this whole thing. And yet it's just running through everyone. Oh, yeah. So I think the CDC, again, we said before, the president is just like, it's in the state's hands. Because I finally think they're like, we can't. One, nobody's going to go for it. Like, a vast majority of people are just not going for mandates. They're not going. It's like, I don't want to take this shit. Yeah. I'm not, stop mandating. And even when they do, there's counties like ours and a whole bunch of other ones that are like, we're not enforcing it. Because it's just, it's one, you're asking for a ton of resources. We need more people out to enforce this shit. And you're pulling them away. This Johnny won't wear his mask. Okay, there's a robbery going on over here. What the fuck are we going to go to? Yeah. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of resources. It's a headache. So Biden's like, this is on the state level. So then a lot of the states are going, as soon as they did that, a lot of the states started getting rid of contact tracing, or at least gearing up to get rid of it. They're going to downplay this. And like members of the VC, or what is it? The VCC, the DOH contact tracers. They're like, this is probably on its way out, and they're just going to treat it as if it's a cold or a flu or, any other normal sickness that makes its rounds. Yeah. That's what they're going to do. Now, at the same time, there's tons of numbers coming out. One I just got today where it says Florida added almost 400,000 new cases this week. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of fucking cases. But at the same time, there's another article that came out like within the same hour that says Omicron cases could fall just as quickly as they rose. So there's another one, I think it's right down here. All right. I'll get to that one. That's down further. So I think they're just downplaying it. And clearly they're gearing up to downplay everything. So where does that leave us? I don't know. Because you're getting so many news articles from one hand that says this is dangerous, still get your vaccines. And then you're getting just what's going on, policy changes, and the way they're approaching everything, where they're just like, There's an article I just got today. It says the CDC director disputes Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor's claim about kids seriously ill with COVID-19. You heard that they're going to the Supreme Court with the mandates and everything, like questioning Biden's mandates. This has to do with that.
Yeah, I did hear that, something about that.
So this just came up today on my phone. I was just like, okay, this kind of ties in with everything else that we're talking about. So, your job's not doing anything yet with mandates, you said, right?
Yeah, no. Not with weekly testing, not with the vaccine, not with anything. We've yet to, I guess, be faced with that decision yet.
I don't really. Do you really think they're going to do anything with it, though? I just don't see them doing it now.
They can't. I mean, this is the nicest way possible, but you cannot hit the commercial driving industry with the mandates. They can't.
I think it would just cripple it.
You are, and I'm not saying truck drivers. I mean commercial transportation of any form. You really can't. Because if you so much as take one, it's like the legs of a chair. You take one leg out,
the whole thing goes over.
It is. and I'm sorry, but you're talking to somebody in the business, like you have family in the business,
right?
Where the majority of them, yeah, you got that like 15 to 20%, let's say, that's, yeah, sure, let's do whatever they tell us to do. But then you got like 60, 70, 80% more that says, no, we'll park it.
Right.
We'll ground the flight. We'll park the vehicles. We won't move the trains. The boats won't get started. No, you're literally talking about stopping the country.
Right.
Because I'm sorry, if commercial transportation doesn't move, what happens? Nothing
moves.
Nothing moves. And because that's another thing too, like you stop the truck drivers. Who's going to move the freight from the cargo boats to the planes? You stop the planes. Who's gonna fly this product to here or there?
Right.
You stop the trains from moving. The trains that are coast to coast, like they don't have to stop, or they don't have to take routes and take extra days to get to where they're going like trucks do, or flight patterns and stuff like that. The locomotive industry moves on a much more fluid schedule. It has a lot less variables like truck drivers and stuff like that. Road work, construction, that's a lot of stuff that could slow the trucks from moving. Flight patterns, all those commercial flights.
Maybe not though, because if you slow down all those trucks going to, this is off topic sort of, but if you slow down all that stuff going to where the train, the shipping yards were loaded on trains, and you slow all that other stuff down, and you just bottleneck that, and that has nothing to do with the shipping thing, which we covered a couple months ago. But so
sorry, little off tangent. Off topic tangent.
The Center for Disease Control. Let's see. During an interview with Fox News Sunday, January 9th, Walensky confirmed that there are about 3,500 children in hospitals who have tested positive for COVID-19. When asked about there being 3,500 children hospitalized as opposed to the 100,000 that were reported, they said, yes, there are, and in fact, what I will say, while pediatric hospitals are rising, they're still about 15-fold less than hospitalizations of our older age demographics. It said, in some hospitals that we've talked to, up to 40% of the patients who are coming in with COVID are coming in not because of they're sick with COVID, but because they're coming in with something else and have had COVID or Omicron variant detected, which has been talked about. Even Fauci said that. Fauci's even on record saying, it's like, well, a lot of the cases that we're getting are coming in for nothing COVID related, and they just happen to have it. But again, those numbers are posted. There's 500, what was it? Florida's 400,000 people this week. But, how many are actually coming in? Because of COVID. They're not. Some of them are coming in because they had pneumonia, or they have bronchitis, or they have the flu. The food poisoning. And I think that goes right along with deaths and everything that they're talking about constantly. Well, like that one Chicago mayor or governor or whatever she is, she goes, if the person dies and COVID is present, no matter what the cause of death is, it will be labeled as a COVID death. She even goes on record to bring up hospice. If a person is terminally ill or on hospice and they have a deadline, as cold-hearted it is to say it like that, they have a deadline. If at the time of death COVID is present, it will be a COVID-related death. Yeah. Even though that's not what killed them,
You know, because AIDS patients don't get colds when they have AIDS and are dying.
Right.
You know, the AIDS kills the cold. There's the cure for the common cold.
Remember,
AIDS.
was that? No, that was when I was working at the warehouse, and I made right at the beginning of this pandemic. I said, "Wouldn't that be a plot twist if the cure for COVID?" Because this is when COVID, everyone thought this was a killer.
Oh yeah,
like, it was dangerous, and they were projecting we're going to have like 2 million people.
Yep, millions of deaths.
Yep. So we're talking the first few weeks. I go, wouldn't it be a plot twist if the cure for this COVID ends up being AIDS? I go, what do we do?
We go back to the 80s, do a bunch of coke off strippers' asses, and spread the AIDS around.
Yeah, so
I actually saw a video of a gentleman showed me a video. I won't go into the details as to how we came about.
I might switch back to my other chair because stuff like this comes. I want to put my head back, but I'm afraid I'm going to hit my head on the pole.
You're going to like this.
Okay.
I won't discuss the details as to how we came to work together for a few days.
Okay.
But good dude. We just got laughing, joking, talking, swapping stories as we're going about our day, doing our business. And he goes, "You want to see a funny video?" I'm like, "Sure, why not? We have a few minutes to kill." Shows me his phone. He's waking up in the morning, walks out of his bedroom. You see the door open because he hears voices. You hear him in the video. What the fuck is going on out there? He's like, "I'm going to record this." He walks out, opens the door, and there's his roommate. Literally, "Yo, morning, bud. I'll make breakfast in a minute." Smacks a bare-ass girl in the ass. Right off the ass cheek. And I'm like, I look at this dude, and I'm like, he goes, and he made me breakfast after he was done. I'm like,
well, service with a smile.
did I really just witness somebody do cocaine off of a girl's ass, a bare ass? He goes, yeah. I'm like,
it's normal.
I go, I can safely say right here, right now, I will never doubt another word that comes out of your mouth. He goes, what? I go, dude, you could say, you've seen me suck dick. And I would have to believe you now because
Probably.
You backed up with that story. Fuck you. He goes, dude, I don't fucking lie, man. I'm like, I never said you lied.
Clearly.
But I've also never seen a dude sniff cocaine off of a girl's ass before.
Look at this. What?
So, yeah, I will never doubt a single word out of your mouth ever again. And we actually got joking. He goes, yeah. I mean, if I'm going to give it to you straight, I might as well be the next fucking president. I'm like, I'd vote for you. After seeing that video, I'd vote for you. This guy will never tell a lie.
Supposed to do? Wasn't that Obama's thing? Like, that's what you're supposed to inhale. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Like, I'll vote for the guy in the video.
Yeah.
He's going to make me breakfast too? I'll vote for him.
God, I want to live with that guy now, too.
Political stripe, whatever it is.
Hey, you got the left cheek?
Yeah.
I see a little bit of residue on the right cheek.
Whatever his political stripe is, I bet you it's powdery and white.
His campaign is...
Yeah.
That's just the sound. Can you spell that?
Let's clear it.
How do we put that as a campaign slogan?
Most of the with the stars and the flag will be turned into just little cocaine piles instead.
America. By the time he's hitting 50,
that's right.
he died for this country.
He did.
50 grams of cocaine.
Go.
Oh my God, I love it. I love this show.
Going back to comorbidities.
Yeah, sorry.
These kids in the hospitals being labeled as comorbidities. This is CNN, and this is funny because this is from CNN, who like spin crazy fucking stories all the time.
No offense, really.
The thing I just sent. What?
Kids dying in hospitals, cocaine off strippers' asses. I mean,
That's about the same.
they're both pretty important if you ask me.
It's like dead baby jokes. It's all in the same circle. So.
Oh, that's CDC.
The CNN.
CNN.
They're the one that fucking like put this out, and they're the one that I sent you the link, the Twitter thing there that Joe Rogan put out with his video,
or the intervectum or
the ivermectin
or whatever it's called. Yeah,
the video
horse dewormer.
But there's that. But the link I sent you was the video of him. The comparison of when he announced he had COVID, and then CNN took it and put a filter on it to make him look grayish green, and dying.
Yeah, literally in his video, normal skin color,
you see the
bright lights.
He puts it
one on top,
and I'm sure everybody's seen it. Fucking.
I wish we could put it right there.
I will.
Yeah,
maybe. there's the video is like the original video, and then the one on top from CNN, and it's clearly different.
Oh,
clearly different.
Someone Adobe Photoshopped that shit.
Saying, like, with that said, this is from CNN, and this has been said by a lot of people over and over and over, Joe Rogan especially. COVID-19 death rate 10 times higher in countries where most adults are overweight, report finds.
Yeah. I had to look into that because you sent me that, and I had a few minutes before I came down for this, and I'm like, let me just check this out. But then again, hello, Captain Obvious. Obese people are more susceptible to everything.
Well, apparently this virus also attaches to lipid cells.
Yep.
Fat cells. And that's how it travels around. That's how they designed this vaccine. That's what they did. They made the vaccine and attached it to lipid cells so it could pass through into the cell bodies.
Yep.
And so, of course, this thing would travel faster and affect heavier people worse. So they had a team examine mortality data from Johns Hopkins University and the World Health Organization and found that 2.5 million COVID-19 deaths reported by the end of January. By the end of February, this is last year obviously, 2.2 million were in countries that were more than half the population is overweight. The analysis of data and studies from more than 160 countries, the research found that COVID-19 mortality rates increased along with countries' prevalence of obesity. They note that the link persisted, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Adjusting for age and national wealth. Again, that goes with poor countries.
Yep.
Which we brought up before.
Which we'll get into because one of your notes was about third world countries with the vaccine.
Which is, but that, so 2.2, and this is straight from CNN. So I for any of the super left leaning people that might see this or whatever, this is your flagship where you get your news. This is them reporting it, which has been said over and over by Joe Rogan, by me, apart from Joe Rogan. Like, listen, if for any sickness, if you just take care of yourself year round, just exercise. You don't have to go crazy and train hard and everything, but exercise, get out, walk, ride a bike, like just minor.
Take a multivitamin for Christ's sake.
One multivitamin. Like I said before, when with the nurse,
you got me into taking multivitamins, and it helped
again and again and again. I said to the nurse when I had it, and I brought it up there, and she asked how was your symptoms. I said barely anything, and I said I take a handful of. It's all right there.
Yeah.
Like omegas, a one a day, vitamin D, like a whole bunch of shit.
Oh, yeah, you take the vitamin D. And you all think I suck.
I had my own gym in the basement I built over the year before COVID, just by chance.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about working out in your gym. I don't like the attire I have to wear.
I'll put that video up.
And why aren't you in uniform?
How am I going to fit in this? and eating right, just proper. And again, not going crazy overboard unless you have to in some people.
Yeah.
But just paying attention to what you're eating. Don't go crazy with sugars. Don't go crazy with fats or anything, carbs. Just eat normal.
To go back to the last podcast with the kidney stone discussion, no, like even before that, like seeing your lifestyle, I was always very, I'm fine.
Well, most people are.
But then, I'm like, you know what? Let me see if there's any validity to this guy's like lifestyle. Dude, I take a multivitamin every day now, and I'm telling you, it has made a vast improvement. Just in an unaware sense,
right?
It's like here I am waking up tired in the morning, think I need 2-3 cups of coffee. No, I have a glass of orange juice, a multivitamin, maybe 1 cup of coffee, and I find myself with more energy than I have in a long time. And I'm not exercising. I'm not running miles. No, yes, my job is somewhat physically demanding, and it does keep me active. But then again, so is the mom who is a stay-at-home wife, taking care, homemaker, while her husband's out at work, and she walks her kids around the park.
Right.
Pop a multivitamin. Drink an extra glass of water.
Right.
That's what he's saying. He's not saying you have to go fucking gym rat mode.
No, it's just basic taking care of yourself. I mean, that'll do it right there.
I'm drinking 100% true cranberry juice. Good for my urinary tract.
I completely lost train of thought with that.
But yeah, no, I'm sorry. I got you going on that. My bad.
Yeah, so no, that's fine. That's from CNN though, so I had
to
throw that in there.
Yeah, Jesus.
Flurona being a real thing.
Yep, we called that one.
That was
called that one.
There's a couple things in here that were like, wow, we spoke a little soon. Flurona being the first one. I think we called it Flovid. That's what
No.
Maybe Flurona was said, but I know Flovid was the last thing.
Fluvid. No, I'm almost positive.
It was Fluvid, but it ended up being Flovid, like from the fucking Progressive commercials there. Flovid. Yeah. But
no. I don't know.
It was literally a few days later. This was a couple weeks ago. But a few days later.
Watching us. We're their source for information.
I was just reading around on like Ground News or something, different articles, and it said Israel comes across with the first flu and COVID-19 hybrid virus. I'm like, fuck. Shouldn't have said anything.
Nope.
But now, with that, I just read today that I don't remember where. I think it might have been Africa, but there was an apparent mutation of Delta and Omicron. And they called it Deltacron, of course. Which I was like, well, that one's kind of interesting because Omicron's super... Omicron is super transmissible, and Delta is way heftier than all the other variants. I don't know if there's validity to that because it was from a website I've never heard of, I've never seen, that nobody ever like quotes. But I did read it, and I'm like, well, we'll have to keep an eye on this.
All right, I'm going to make a funny prediction here. Then, when the Cybertron variant comes out, it's going to be immediately after Elon Musk gets that. Computer implant programmed into people's heads and they start growing car parts. We have a new strain, Cybertron variant. Americans, roll out. Hey, where'd you go? Oh, hey, you're back.
I was on this conversation.
Much like everybody in my life.
Oh, geez. There was also, I saw a claim that Fauci was arrested. That's been circulating. I couldn't find any validity in this. Like, there was another one I saw today, and I'm like, wouldn't that be something? And the closest thing I found was somebody that worked under Fauci had charges against him like 5 years ago. But there was no, I might have
heard something about that, but I haven't heard anything about Fauci being arrested.
Well, this one came from TikTok. So that's why as soon as I saw it, and there was a headline wherever, there was no source where it came from, of course, TikTok. But it said Fauci was arrested. And I'm like, what? So immediately I'd search it. I'm like, let's see. Because if this is, I'm like, oh, there's huge news. That'll be top page, like right there.
Oh, yeah.
Found nothing. So that was just, okay. So that was a thing that happened. Whether there's any validity to it, probably not. But
He probably got picked up after a hot dog party and the owl worshipping gathering.
Bohemian Grove.
The gathering of the owl juggalettes. I don't know. I can't make that reference. The gathering of the owlets.
Remember I gave you the headline, this is a couple of shows ago again, Moderna, they requested 55 years to slowly leak their information for the vaccine, and I can't remember if I said it on a show, I might have, but Pfizer requested 75 years to have everything leaked. It was like 500 documents a month.
We made the comments about like, what are they trying to like?
Well, that was brought before a federal judge, and this was given, which I was like, whew, that's interesting. Makes it exciting. The judge gives FDA just over 8 months to produce Pfizer's safety data. So instead of what they had projected before was Pfizer, it would be 500 pages per month at that rate, which would take it would be about roughly 75 years before they fully produced all the data. This knocks it down to about 55,000 pages a month. So within the next year, we're going to have all the safety, everything that Pfizer has for their...
I don't even think I've read 55,000 pages in my life so far.
Who the hell is going to read that? That's 55,000 pages a month.
That's what they're going to do with the contact tracers. They're going to have them each read 1 page a day because there's probably 1 million contact tracers.
There really is. There's so many fucking contact. It's incredible.
If they all read 1 page a day, they can report what they find.
In 8 months, we'll have the whole report.
And then when each of them do 1 page of reporting, we have 55 million people read those pages and give 1 sentence reports.
Yeah,
Keep him busy.
I saw that's on Epoch Times. I saw that. I'm like, well, good. So now we're all going to actually have the information present within our lifetime.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, because we did make the comment. I do remember us making the comment, we'll be dead before we know the truth.
Well, yeah, the thought is 55 years and then 75 years, everybody who would be held accountable if there were adverse effects and they knew they'll all be dead, so who the fuck cares?
Yep, that's right. I remember.
But now they're going to release it. It'll be in 8 months. They'll have the full report on the effects. Of
you realize right now,
data.
as we speak, there's some shredding parties going on. I'll go conspiracy. I'll go conspiracy on that one. There's some shredding parties going on.
Dude, it's not like
dudes banging people. Dudes banging strippers over fucking paper shredders. Yeah.
Where'd the strippers come from?
Well, someone's got to have the coke on their ass.
It's not like people in high power delete 35,000 emails or anything before a presidential election. So that's definitely not going to happen.
And we should still trust them even after, if there is any validity to that statement.
Did you hear about the COVID-19 vaccines being linked to menstrual cycles, changes in menstrual cycles for women? Which I think we roughly brought that up a while ago.
No, what we brought up was the teenagers being sterilized.
Yeah, that was from what?
We touched base on that when they first.
Yeah,
it was on a much.
I think that was like a tongue-in-cheek thing.
Yeah, it was.
What if? Yeah.
Well, no. There was actually, because I remember going on.
There was like 8. Well, this is way back. There was like 8 cases. This is going back a year and a half.
Yes.
And my buddy Phil from down at my old job, he brought it up. He's like, "There's fucking people that are sterilized." I'm like, and then that's when we started going like, "What if?" And
they're trying to.
Yeah, what if they're trying to? What's that show that they canceled off Amazon? Utopia.
Yeah.
That one that was, I saw it on TikTok. It was like, oh man, that show looks fantastic. And
canceled.
And I go on Amazon to look for it, couldn't find it anywhere. Come to find out it was canceled. I'm like, because it was, I don't know why, but a lot of people are like, it hit too close to home for some of the people that are up there.
Yeah.
Because it was about a guy who developed a vaccine for something, and he believed that the world was overpopulated, so he administered this vaccine across so many people, and it ended up sterilizing the next 3 generations down from the recipients of the vaccine. Fun to speculate, but why the hell did they cancel it?
We gotta stop talking.
Even beyond just bullshit like Alex Jones crazy stuff or whatever, that just sounds like an entertaining movie or like film to watch or series. And I'm not one for series. I barely watch any series. But I was like, I'd check that.
You're more the movie goer. I'm more the series goer. Well, I still love the movies too.
I would check that out. But they canceled it. And I bet you now it would get massive ratings.
Cancel culture.
Seriously. They made reference to something I don't like. Well, what is it? Well, I haven't figured it out yet. I haven't seen it. But I'm sure there's something.
It's about proof of me touching wieners. I don't like people thinking that. But you do touch wieners. Oh, cancel you.
That's probably true.
Cancel you.
Yeah, so there's they link to the menstrual cycle changes. I'll just Oregon Health and Science University. Other researchers studied cycles among 2,403 vaccinated and 1,556 unvaccinated women and concluded vaccination was associated with a change in the cycle length. This goes along with the Dr. Malone thing that he was citing on, I don't know if it was one of his solo rants or when he was on Joe Rogan. He brought up the fact that he had spent a lot of time with the Hasidic Jews, like they're leaders, for lack of a better term. And the Hasidic Jews they pay attention to the menstrual cycle of the women within their congregation or what have you, because they're very adamant about having that religion keep going. Yeah. So what they found with these vaccines is it was making women who were in their 20s, mid to late 20s, go through menopause early, but it was also making women who had already gone through menopause start vaginal bleeding again. And the Hasidic Jew community made it a point. It's like, we're not pushing this. We do not want this in our community. And then I read this, which now they're coming out and saying, the Pfizer, this is RNA technology, both Pfizer and Moderna are triggering an immune response that could temporarily affect, Now, if that goes as far as what the Hasidic Jew community has found, or Jewish community, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
That's crazy shit, man.
Here's a fun one that I read this, or I heard about this, and I had to find it. I could not find it. I got a screenshot of where it came from, but I went to actually find it, and my computer would not fucking load it, which it does that every now and again, so not going crazy conspiracy. But
my mind was already ready with the joke. Never mind.
But I did screenshot where I got it from. This is GlaxoSmithKline scientist pleads guilty for stealing info and trade secrets to Chinese and giving them to Chinese pharma company. Significance to that. This is from the Department of Justice. This is from justice.gov.
Which is a federally regulated site.
Yep.
For those of you at home who might be thinking, oh, we're just fact checking fake news. No, .gov is government.
This is from the Department of Justice. Yep. And what the whole thing is, the hospital or the labs where this came from deal with vaccines or they study like viral infections and things like that and treatments for them. This was, I think, specifically for cancers. I don't know what kind of cancer, but they were researching on cancers. It says in January of 2015, Lucy Zing sent Yan Mei a GSK document which contained confidential and trade secret data and information. The document provided a summary of GSK research into monoclonal antibodies at that time. In the body of the email, Lucy wrote, you need to understand it very well. It will help you in your future business. This is in 2015. The big thing right now in monoclonal antibodies is that it's a controversial topic, not being used for any treatment or quote-unquote possibly curing COVID-19 as an alternate method rather than just getting a vaccine. And then if you have it, their treatment for most of the hospitals you hear is go home, take aspirin, wait it out. There's no actual treatment. Until a lot of people, the biggest one obviously, again, is Joe Rogan, said Z-Pak, he took ivermectin, monoclonal antibodies, vitamin drips, and he got over it within 5 days. He tested negative and was back to working out and whatever. Ron DeSantis in Florida has monoclonal antibodies offered through all their hospitals in the state, for treatment if you have COVID. I think Texas is doing the same thing. The Biden administration, although they have monoclonal antibodies, they're putting limits, I guess, on we're shipping them out to all these places. So it basically limits what they can give out. So they're obviously giving out to people of higher comorbidities, just a higher risk of having adverse effects of having COVID. And when I heard this from the Department of Justice, that in 2015 they were giving secrets to Chinese pharmaceutical companies, specifically around monoclonal antibodies. There's a few, every now and again, something comes across while I'm listening to whatever news at work. I stopped it's a good thing it was later at night. There was no like staff or anyone there. I stopped in my tracks. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like I said it verbally. There's no one else around me. I'm like, talk about conspiracy theory. But 4 years before COVID hits and monoclonal antibodies has been shown to do all this shit, they're sending secrets to Chinese pharmaceutical companies, be like, know this shit because it's going to help you in your future business. Fuck.
Dude, I had to sit back for that one. I'm like, holy shit.
I saw that and I was like, quit. And I'm glad I took a screenshot of it because just by chance I went to search it to get more information. The fucking thing wouldn't come up. Maybe it will now. I'll have to check again.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm glad I took that screenshot so I could actually read the shit off like the DOH, or DOJ.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
The next one goes off to what we were talking about before with the poor countries we mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah.
The World Health Organization states on the vaccination actually prolonging the pandemic, specifically because of poorer countries not being able to be vaccinated.
Yep.
And what did we say before? If this is truly a pandemic of the unvaccinated, why not release all these patents and give them to poorer countries so they can get vaccinated, so then everybody could be safe? But that's not where money is. And then here this thing comes out from the World Health Organization that said maybe these vaccine ideas is not such a good idea because these poor countries can't fucking afford it. So the virus is just fucking... And where's most of these new variants coming from?
Third world countries.
Again, we spoke a little early.
The government's...
It's nice to be ahead of the curve.
It is.
For once. Not for bad fucking news. But
I didn't have to sell drugs to get my homework done by somebody else. I was ready for this class. No, but I mean, we did. Yeah, I do remember us talking about that. Because you did almost the same thing. The pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Right.
You clapped. I remember. I want to go back and check all of our podcasts to find that
one. I clapped or not, but I do.
No, I remember you moved your hands in some way, shape, or form to emphasize the point. I'm like,
oh, pandemics.
I don't know what I should do with my hands right now. Just put them on your side. Jesus Christ.
There's a lot of arguments. There's the CDC. Every time you argue something with vaccines or the virus or anything like that, a lot of people say, well, the CDC says. And they run to the CDC, even though there's a lot of other doctors that say different.
Oh, yeah.
And there's one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize, and I think I brought this up to you before, is where the CDC gets its information. I think we had this discussion. Maybe it wasn't you. Maybe
vaguely. No, I think I vaguely remember us talking about...
The CDC gets its info from a multitude of other facets. And it's a conglomerate of a whole bunch of different information. And the thing that comes up and is very true is some of these conglomerates lean heavily one way or another. They have strict bias. You need the vaccine, or strict you don't need the vaccine. So the CDC is not like this organization that does all these lab work and like it's trusted because of this. It's basically like a Walmart.
It's a survey,
and all these places are just giving it's getting a whole bunch of information and just saying hopefully there's more truth than bullshit, so we can kind of weigh,
It's more like the whole. It sounds more to me like, and maybe this would be a better way for people to understand it at home. It seems more to me like, well, if we get all this information from all these different resources, it's going to go one way or the other. It's either going to work and, hey, we helped come up with this information, or it's not going to work and it's, well, we're still trying to figure out what the best course of action is.
Right.
Yeah. People.
They,
CDC. Center for Dumb Chicks. Sorry.
What?
I don't know. I'm trying to come up with an acronym. Commonly disabled.
Going through, like... The social media is banning alternative ideas, like different accounts are getting banned. This came up strictly from
I did hear
MTG and Robert Malone, and how many accounts have been banned, especially over the last 6 months or so. A lot of people have been speaking out and be like, I don't like this, and then they get banned.
Oh yeah.
Whether they have valid information or not, they just we don't like. And
we'll get up there eventually.
And what's funny is, when a company doesn't come down on somebody for vaccinations and there's an outcry about it, the people that are primarily on the right will say, well, it's a private company, you can do this. And then the people on the left would be like, this should be mandated, it's about everyone else's health, why aren't they doing it?
Yeah.
Now we go to this, where social media banning accounts, whoever's getting banned will be like, or the people arguing for Twitter and Meta, Facebook, whatever, they'll say, well, it's a private company. You can do whatever. Here's an argument to that, which I found interesting. It is a private company. It's privately owned. Well, it's not even privately owned because all these companies are public. They've gone public.
Public trade.
So I guess you could make an argument there too. The thing I say, though, is that it is a private company, but a lot of... Well, for right now, topical, pharmaceutical companies advertise on all these platforms.
Oh, yeah.
Either political affiliations, candidates, presidential candidates, governors,
they
campaign across them. They mention policies and things they want to do, things they want to like take away or like undo. They use all these social media companies. And a big one is when there's felonies or big lawsuits against major companies, they go into social media accounts and they look at transactions that were made, or they look at communications between X and Y or whatever. So they use all these things. So it's private, but it's publicly used on a multitude of levels. So if it's used like that for all these major like political and corporate functions, why are we just able to take people that disagree with some things off like they don't exist? Like, to me, that should be, there's a lot of arguments that are made that the internet should be treated, and social media, not the internet, but social media should be treated as a phone company or telephone. Everybody has access to it.
Yeah.
Because that's basically what social media is. It's the next evolution, which we talked about before in societies. Yep. It's the next evolution of the telephone, the internet, and now social media. And you could do everything that they talked about in Star Trek back in the 60s and then some now. Yeah. You could do all that now.
Oh,
So being able to silence somebody because through means of mass communication.
There's other facets.
Yeah. But now, because all these silences and censoring and banning is going on, now these other means of communication are coming up. The big one right now is Getter.
Yep.
With what they're saying, the Twitter killer, which I don't know if it's a Twitter killer, but it's definitely an alternative to Twitter. And now that's gone up like over 1 million subscribers or some shit like that in the last week.
Yeah. Well, all right. Here's a little fun one for you.
What, Rumble is YouTube's, which we're on Rumble too. But
oh, we are? Nice.
Yeah, I've been on Rumble for a few months.
Nice. I'll have to look into that. TikTok, primarily, good example. When Trump was in office, he had planned on, I don't know if he planned on it, but there was the proposition to get TikTok shut down.
Yeah, I did hear that, because he was like, well, it's his claim, or his administration, whoever's claim somewhere there, said that TikTok was being used by the Chinese to basically train our youth to be fucking worthless. I mean, it kind of is.
Yeah.
By that, I mean it is, and he wanted to just get rid of it altogether because it's like China. It's like, you know.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I mean, it's like the old adage. Well, like the Hydra. You chop one off, 3 more appear.
Mm-hmm.
You shut down one facet of social media, 2 more will come up within the next coming months. I mean, Getter, Rumble, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, MySpace to Facebook. MySpace is actually still around, I think.
It is. It turned into, now I checked years ago. This was probably 2, 3, 4 years ago to see if it was still there. I was like, I wonder if my account's still there.
Yeah.
Which it's not. They like swiped everything and started over.
Yeah.
But yeah, MySpace is still a thing. I don't know exactly what it's used for now. I think
Neither do I.
I heard like Justin Timberlake was going to buy it or did buy it or something. He was going to turn it into this new sophisticated thing as opposed to what it was before.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, he's got what? I think his timer on his arm said like 100 years.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah. Kazakhstan riots.
Kazakhstan, yeah.
There's being said that it's about gas shortages and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
I said, it's a gas shortage. The claims are that it's because of mandates, but there's also claims like it's not as big as it seems, which might be true because, like we said earlier in the show, you go into New York City, you hear, oh, this is terrible. You go down there, it's like most of the people aren't fucking complying with this, so it might not be as bad.
The people that are complying with it, they are doing like myself. When I went into that store I was talking about, I had my mask,
right.
And I'm like, all right, just wearing it because I probably should.
Right.
I avoided the other customers. Another customer coming down my aisle, all right, screw it. I'll go to the next aisle over. I social distanced. And that person had a mask. But there were customers that weren't wearing masks.
Right.
They avoided me. I avoided them. They didn't give two shits that I was wearing a mask. I didn't give two shits that they weren't wearing a mask.
New York fashion.
I was just fucking social. If that's the case, New York City's been practicing social distancing for a long time because everybody's
not physically, but definitely like mentally and verbally.
Everybody avoids each other.
I don't give a shit what you're doing. You got too much of that stuff.
The hobo shitting in the corner of the subway. You think I noticed him doing it? I knew he was there. I knew.
Look at that.
But I didn't look at him. Yeah. And I stayed at the other end of the car.
If I don't look at him, he's not there.
I stayed at the other end of the car.
So they there's a lot of claims that say it's because of the mandates, which definitely you could see.
Oh yeah.
The one thing that was brought to my attention, why I wrote it down, is because the president of Kazakhstan ordered a fire without warning on protesters.
I read that.
A shoot to kill.
Yep.
Which kind of makes you go, is this about gas prices?
Or are you trying to shut people up?
Yeah. And another thing that ties in with this that's been going on over the last week or so is the huge, I don't want to call it a crash, but the major dip in the crypto market.
Oh, yeah.
And that's two different things why that's happening. One is reported a lot, and one I just learned over this last week is China's, how they name it? The refreshed, how they word it. China refreshes its crypto policy making transactions with making any crypto illegal. So any cryptocurrency is now illegal in China, and China's a huge fucking place.
It's a big
market for anything. For movies, it's just there's a billion people over there.
Well, don't even look at it from a population perspective. Look at it in a technological perspective. 90% of the world's technology is developed, if not improved upon,
by just Asian countries in
general. Asian countries in general, yeah. So if they're going to shut down the crypto market, so much for cryptocurrency.
It took a dip. I think Bitcoin went down below 40,000 a coin for the first time in a while. They hit record highs this year, and I like that. Yeah. Like everything, if you look at the market, it's just a red bearish market across the board for crypto. But there's a lot of people that also say they're projecting Bitcoin specifically to hit somewhere between 100 and 250,000 a coin by this coming summer. Jeez. Now, I don't know if that was made before the whole Kazakhstan thing, because if it was, that probably is going to be much different now. Sorry. The other thing I was talking about the other factor was in Kazakhstan, there's a huge crypto mining operation there. Not for Bitcoin. I don't know specifically what coin or just in general, but that's been shut down because of all these riots and everything. So now you have crypto mining shut down Kazakhstan, which is a major one, and then China saying, no, crypto market crashes.
Oh, yeah.
At least goes down.
It dips.
Yeah, quite a bit. Couple of last things. The woman who illegally injects a boy with a vaccine on New Year's Eve. Yeah. That's a big no-no. I think it was a school teacher. It was. It was a school teacher.
And it was under false pretense, too.
Was it?
I believe it was, it's this.
No. That it wasn't. At least from what I read. The article said that the boy wanted it, so I'm assuming the parents didn't want the kid to have the vaccine. It was a 15-year-old, I believe.
Yeah.
And the teacher brought them and administered the vaccines at their house. So someone's in trouble there.
Teachers making house calls again.
Yeah, that's right. Except, 5 years ago, it was teachers having sex with their students. Now they're shooting.
Why can't we go back to that?
Shooting them. Well, they skipped right over that. Now we're just injecting them with vaccines that we don't.
Do you remember in high school hearing that shit?
Hearing it? No.
I did. I remember hearing teachers sleeping with students, and I'm like,
oh, I didn't hear anything about it. At least not any of the teachers around here.
I'm glad none of my teachers want to sleep with me. They're all ugly as fuck.
She's 60.
Yeah.
60 is the new 40. Like, I don't know where you get your math. They identify as a 40-year-old. See, we're ahead of the curve. And bad and good. Fuck.
And most of my teachers were men, too.
Hey. I'm a 6-year-old girl. 6?
You're a little too young for me. Maybe if you were 18-year-old girl, wink, wink.
You fucking map. The The last thing, which is this actually would go in with.
I do remember hearing one story of a student actually banging a teacher back when Fort Playne.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he went over to walk her dog, and she walked his dog.
Bravo.
You gotta edit. You gotta mute that so nobody knows specifically.
Oh, okay.
The place I located. Just mute that.
What? Fort Playne?
Yeah, mute that now too.
All right. Nobody will know. That was 20 years ago.
I know.
Nobody cares now.
Holy shit, it was.
And they're probably dead.
No,
that was me.
Oh, that was you.
The last thing I was going to say was...
wait, was you that walked the dog?
Anyway...
I don't want to talk about it.
Video games now, they have games coming out there's always been pay to win or pay to play seasons.
Pay to play is what pay to play. Hold on, because now you're touching on a subject I'm very knowledgeable in. Pay to play is what it's always been called. Mm. It's never been pay to win, but you can I remember earlier on in the online gaming development phase, you could pay people to play your account. So you could buy accounts.
That's not what I was talking about, but I know what you're talking about.
And that's where the pay to win came from, because here you are.
No.
I put in the hours to build up this character, unlock all these weapons, all these perks, and then I sell you the account with all the access, and here you are, new to the game.
They still do that. You can get that on eBay.
Yeah, you
can get accounts on eBay.
That's where the pay to win terminology comes from, but it's always been pay to play.
No, the pay to win terminology I'm talking about is remember 2014, 15. This is when EA came down hard. Everyone legally they came down hard, and it might have been Australia again.
Poor Australia.
They said they actually banned EA games, Star Wars Battlefront 2 specifically, and there was a couple, maybe Battlefield or something.
I do remember. Okay.
There's a couple other games because you would be able to go in using real world money to unlock random crates to get high ranked upgrades and things.
Yeah.
And because it was random crates, they said this is basically a form of gambling, and gambling can't be done with anyone under the age of 18.
Yep, 18.
So they said this is a form of gambling, we're banning them, and everyone came down legally hard on EA, rightfully so.
Yeah.
That's where the pay-to-win thing came in, because you could buy your way to the top. And if you were just somebody who didn't have the extra money to buy your way to the top...
You struggled.
Yeah, you had to just get your ass kicked and either not play or just deal with it.
Yep.
So that's when a lot of games man, we're not going to do this anymore.
But that also birthed the generation of elite gamers, the people that didn't pay to win, and you saw them going in with basic loadouts in any game.
Yep.
And that's where a lot of you remember during the video game Olympics, basically. Not video game Olympics, but all the competitions that were going on.
Right.
People were getting there's one, I remember the video of the guy, one of the judges, one of the observers watching the players grabs the kid's hand as he's trying to quickly click something, and it was during a first person shooter competition. He had an aim assist program installed.
A bot?
No, it was an aim assist. You could see their outlines through the walls.
Yeah, oh yeah, all right.
And he went to shut it down because they're wait, what's going on with that? And he ends up grabbing his wrist and pulls his hand back, and he's no, and he's trying to fight. And then he just sits back on the chair, and the team ended up losing because of him. Mm-hmm. They all played, we didn't know he was acting on his own. They all got banned for life.
And rightfully so.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
But that's where the elite gamers were coming in. People needed those.
You got to adjust. It's adjust or adapt, overcome.
I used to game hard with a kid. His name was James. And he actually was Charlie, look, I'll play with you every day, 15 minutes, win or lose, start or finish. We're going to start a match, whether we finish or not, whether we're halfway into a match. At the end of the 15 minutes, we shut down. Mm-hmm. And I can genuinely say in the course of 3 months, my level of gaming improved, dramatically. And I'm wow. He's now you're going to start getting hate mail. And remember when we started playing, I was doing the same thing with Brawlhalla. I was playing on days when we weren't playing together, and I'm just sitting there grinding. Remember, I think that was the one season I ended up doing almost 300. I broke 300 ranked matches.
Right.
And I'm yeah, I'm in the 300 club. And you're well, that's nothing. Fucking dick. But still, I was but my level got better.
Right.
And that's when I was like, yeah, I got my first hate mail. Remember that shit?
Yes, I do.
I was all ecstatic. I was taking screenshots and shit.
Because I think I was at the point where I was just so sick. That's when I changed my profile.
You changed your your quote.
Yeah, whatever I can't remember what it was, but it's like void of
you get your validation from a digital game. Your
validation comes from a digital game.
Yes.
Your life is void of meaning or some shit like that. And that cut a lot of that shit down.
Yeah.
I just got so sick of getting that. Like, it was cool for a while. Then after
this
a while,
guy was getting hate mail left and right. I'm fucking like, just come on, get good enough to get that hate mail. And then I finally got it. And it's like, we don't play that game anymore. Very rarely.
I do. I actually picked it back up a little bit. Anyway, so there's pay to win and all that. But now they have, I don't know how it's going to be done. I have an idea. But they have pay or get paid to play.
Oh, yeah.
But not like, there's always been testers and this. This is like meta. Some form of currency and meta. Getting paid video games to play.
Wait, what?
Or getting paid by the games you're playing.
Okay.
So I don't know what kind of digital currency it's going to be. If it's fiat, if it's crypto, if it's some other kind of currency, NFT, something or other. But the connection I made, I was looking at this, and I'm like, this goes back to when we were talking about the metaverse and everything, and all like the jobs they have now in it. And
gas
now
station
they're
in real life, gas station in
yeah. That still cracks me up. Like, man, what an awful break that would be. But so yeah, now you're getting paid through playing these games. I think it's some kind of in-game currency.
Well, even if it's take it. Let's go a little bit. Let's go another step further. Video games aren't going anywhere.
No,
they're never gonna.
That's exactly what meta is.
You know what I'm talking about. There have been news articles of people like saving people's lives because of training they've developed while playing video games. Right. Like the military actually has simulations where they have people use like video games.
Well, think about it. What a most military now, it's not boots on the ground.
No.
It's automated rockets and shit. And what are you doing? You got a joystick and fucking buttons. And you're sitting.
We are the next level.
100 and some miles away.
We are the military of the future.
It was just.
We're going to be awesome.
That's what it is.
But no. So let me put it in a way you like. I'm waiting for that facial expression. Social media. We pay people to fucking promote their lifestyles. We call them influencers. Mm-hmm. So you mean to tell me you can't get an elite group of players across the board that reach that top level status? You mean to tell me that will promote that game, that will get people? I've wanted to join competitions. I competed in a couple of Brawlhalla tournaments because I'm sitting there like, wow, these guys are making money from winning. Mm-hmm. You mean to tell me the creators of Brawlhalla aren't like, hey, dude, you got me like fucking, you got 50 million people to download this game and put money into it. Here's a little scratch for your troubles.
Yeah, of course.
It's the next level.
Well, they got like the top gamers in there. When they win these tournaments, they're getting like 50 G's. Like, and in a weekend's worth of work.
They're getting sponsored. They're wearing Under Armour t-shirts with a Monster Energy drink in front of them. Console.
What's that? G Fuel or whatever it is?
Yep. C4 is another one.
Yep.
I remember seeing it when it first hit the shelf. I'm like, oh, cool. And I'm like,
and that's where the money comes from, the sponsorship.
Oh, yeah.
You get a good, like, pretty penny.
I would love to be sponsored to play video games. I might not be the greatest gamer, but I'm telling you right now, I've gotten fucking more people watching this podcast now, especially with my line of work. Customers, co-workers, even family and friends are like, Charlie, I started watching. Even people that I don't deal with on the day-to-day, they overhear the conversation. What's going on? What about your kidney stone story? And I'm like, here, you're friends with this person? He'll send you the link.
If you play with this guy,
sponsor me.
He might not be the best gamer ever, but I'll tell you what he is really good at, and that's getting pissed off at other players.
I make every fucking game we play fun.
How many? Not even other players. What's a perfect one on the intro to the gaming shit we used to do? And I played the Nature High song. And the audio of us playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and you go, God, it's like, what? I didn't even say, you fucking horse, you stupid fucking animal.
Yeah, because the fucking thing, I remember.
Shit like that.
We used that. I have fucking horse I kept wanting to go forward. The horse would turn like, you fucking horse, come on. He would fucking go straight already.
Now, it's sort of the topic related, but we were hunting, and that was a big thing for a while.
Fuck you.
That's how I got a shit ton of
I already know where you're going with this, you prick.
So I got a shit ton of money in that game. I was hunting constantly, hunting and fishing. So every time we go hunting, and I don't know if there's any validity to this, but I the way I figured it as I was playing is like the more you hunt, the bigger and the better pelts you would get from shooting animals and just, you know, hitting them in the right spot.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh, I'm only getting 1, maybe 2-star pelts. So I'm like, all right. And he came up with me. He's like, what are you doing differently than me? I'm like, all right, so this is what you do. I go, all right, first you got to get off your horse. And we were up in, like, I can't remember the name of it.
We were
the snowy
hunting.
mountains. We were way up in the snow.
Yeah.
Like, first you got to get off your horse. I go, then you got to lead him. So he'd lead him. I go, all right, we go down like halfway down this hill. All right, now leave the horse here. Make sure he stays. And we got to duck down with our gun. So we duck down. I go, okay, first we got to go to this bush over here. So I lead him to a bush. And I go, okay, we got to go back up. Now we got to go down to that tree. So lead him to the tree. I go, okay, now stand up. Okay, now we got to run. So he followed me the entire fucking way, leading him on just this crazy rabbit hunt. This went to nothing. And then finally we get on. We're running back on our horses. We're running across the lake. And I see some deer, something off on the side. I go, oh, there's deer. So I take my gun and I aim. We both aim. We shoot. And we drop 2 different deer. I run over to it and he goes, it's only 1 star. I'm like, oh. I got a 3-star. I go, what the fuck?
I remember. I fucking knew you were going to go with that story, you fucker. I knew it too, man.
But just having fun. Like, that's how you can have fun with this guy.
And then, well, that's just it. Like Thumper Bam Bam, another buddy of mine. I swear to fucking God, Thumper Bam Bam. His real name is Kevin. I won't give his last name. We played Destiny. We rocked. I'm gonna send him a link because I want to give a shout out. Thumper Bam Bam, Destiny 1, Destiny 2. We were day 1 players.
Okay.
And I mean, we were fucking hardcore. We ground out. I don't play Destiny 2 anymore. I every now and again I get that itch, but it's like, you know what? I want to, like, I still talk to Thumper Bam Bam, but, like, I leave that game alone because of the novelty, like, the sentimental aspect of it. Like, I don't want to get back into it, and all of a sudden, I'm like, all right, well, I'm back into it, I'm hardcore drilling, and now I'm getting these rewards, because we had so much fun during, like, these, what were they called? Not the, oh, shit. All right, so basically they were, like, these night something missions where they were like the hardest level of the mission you could play, and we would go through them, and I mean I would sit there and like, all right, he's like, Charlie, you lead the pack, so I'm running, I'm gunning, I'm dropping all these enemies, and at the end of every fucking run, enemies killed, I'd have like 60 or 70. This motherfucker would break almost 200. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, no wonder you get more random drops. No wonder you get more fucking legendary gears. Like, what the fuck? And he's actually gone on record. I think I have the video recording. He goes, Charlie, I don't know. I barely shot anybody. I don't even know how I broke 100. And I got like 30 kills. And I'm like, fuck this fucking game. I fucking hate it. Help me beat this next run.
Listen to stuff like that. But that's like, you remember when we got in that first person fight when we first got GTA back in this?
Yes, first
with
person
the stupid fucking masks. I haven't laughed just watching your
fucking asshole.
I wish the audio recorded for that. I have the video, but the audio didn't like record because we hadn't figured out at that time. Like,
yeah, we were still
audio
learning.
Record.
Yeah, we were still kind of
I
developing.
haven't just watched. He's had a fox mask or something,
yes.
And I remember punching him, and it's somewhere on my YouTube channel, the video, and just like watching his head, just like slowly. I killed him, and he falls to the ground, and the head slowly just turns and looks at me like this. My gut hurt so bad for laughing from that. Just I'm like, this stupid fucking mask.
I remember because you showed me the video, and I'm like, even my game was like, come on, really?
You just die like. Just thinking back on it cracks me up.
Speaking of which, I really got to get back on that. I haven't put up a video on the gaming channel in a long time.
Yeah, I want to link your shit, but you don't put any content up. So like, I'll link your channel, but you don't do anything with it.
I know I haven't done much of anything in a while. I really got to though.
Anyway, I was going back with a fucking pay to play.
Yeah,
that's going back with
getting
a metaverse.
Paid to play now.
Or, yeah, getting paid to play. It's going back with a metaverse. I'm like, that's a setup. For basically, they have video games inside the metaverse now, which is fucking It's like, so you're playing a video game to play a video game. It's like when we play GTA and play the retro games on GTA.
Yeah.
Like,
We said, I think we
like,
did a
don't
video.
really know what's happening right
there
now.
No, we're gonna have to do that. I think that was one of my plans. No, I remember what we did on the one gaming channel, the one video I posted. We go through all the online surveys on the phone.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Like the questionnaires.
Like
we
the,
did that.
The
we did,
swallow with that thing or whatever.
There's a video on my channel where we did that. And I think the plan was.
They have the driving test one. Like,
yes.
No matter what, if you answer it right or wrong, it's still fucking.
Yeah. I think I planned on us doing a video of us actually literally smoking weed off the coffee table, getting high, and then sitting on the couch and playing the retro games in our office.
But yeah, so they
oh my god!
I don't even remember where I was going with this whole fucking
getting paid to play
the metaverse
game in the game.
You know what's interesting with the metaverse is already starting to happen, which for anyone who thought different, you're out of your mind. In the metaverse, they're going to have servers for high rollers like Snoop Dogg and all these things that you're not going to get into. So basically, the metaverse it's already shaping up to be what reality is now. This fucking you have rich people.
Do you want to go to this one, the very bottom one?
Oh, fucking course they did.
We won't go with the details, but apparently
Tide Pod Challenge.
That's all we'll say. Tide Pod Challenge. It's very unfortunate about what's happening. But.
That's a special moment. Yeah, so, and they're probably going to be digital NFT Tide Pods in this fucking universe, too. I don't know. Is that a Tide Pod? What the fuck?
It's digesting a Tide Pod.
Yeah, but there's gonna be there's gonna be servers where rich people just you can't go on there.
Yeah.
Much like real life now, like I was saying, like Joe Schmoes can't go to fucking Hollywood and live next to whoever. Not gonna be able to afford it. And there's already servers.
Look at these influencers like Kim Kardashian, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. Look at all these people on the social media websites and social media outlets that when they do these live talks, like I could join up and request. You have to request half of them. You have to request to even be a voice
for the big ones. Yeah,
yeah, and there's a chance you most of them it's like you have to pay, and if you won't get selected because you're not putting enough money into it.
Yeah, and like I said before, that one guy that bought the property next to Snoop Dogg's Meta house there for almost $500,000.
Yeah,
$450K. Like,
I wish I had that much money to just fucking
to blow up. That's like me fucking any video game you play. It's like, well, this house will cost you $500,000.
Yeah, GTA.
You imagine like just $500,000 real time fiat currency in a video. You're spending that for a video game. Now, how many times have we just like when we game together, just nights off, and we'll be like, oh, there's this game to download. It's like, yeah, it's $8, and we're both like,
Yeah, we him and hawing over it, and then eventually either you buy it, and then a week or two later, all right, fuck it, I buy it, or vice versa. $500,000.
$500,000 for a house, and let's say this thing's a fad and just disappears. They just blew $500,000. Speaking of blowing money, this has nothing to do with metaverse. Maybe Bitcoin.
I've tried blowing.
You
money.
hear that one? You hear that one guy that lost? He's searching in a dump for 8 years now. There's a hard drive with. At the time, it was $500 million worth of Bitcoin on it. That was either mistakenly or just because he thought it was going to be trash way back when Bitcoin was a thing, threw it away. But now there's estimated to be, I've heard 500 million, but I've heard now through what it is today is closer to $2 billion worth of Bitcoin. 8 years he's been searching for this thing in some landfill somewhere. Can you imagine? Even we'll go the smaller amount, $500 million worth of Bitcoin. That's fucking crazy. And he's searching and searching, and I would be searching too.
Let's go.